Human offers alien girl coffee. Is this poison? Why do I love it? The sand tasted like rust and regret. Elias Vance spit grit, pushing himself up from where the stardust drifter had become a new, unplanned mesa in this god-forsaken magnetic desert. Sparks still crackled around the ruptured drive core, painting ghostly blue trails in the thick, hot air. His head throbbed. Everything throbbed, especially the hole in his gut where shrapnel had ripped through his favorite jacket. He was alive, barely, stranded on some backwater rock off the trade lanes, gravity pulling at him like a possessive lover, metallic dust clinging to his sweat. Perfect, just another Tuesday. He scanned the horizon, a shimmering, orange haze, broken only by jagged, dark rock formations that hummed with latent energy. No signs of life. No comms, just him, a busted ship, and the knowledge that scavengers usually ended up scavenged eventually. He needed shelter, water, and maybe something that didn't taste like iron oxide. He rummaged through the salvageable wreckage, pulling out a battered medkit, a handful of power packs, and, incongruously, a vacuum-sealed pouch of instant coffee granules and a small, filterless manual press. A luxury from a better life, probably useless now. He stuffed it all into a pack. Better than nothing. He started walking towards the nearest cluster of humming rocks, the air growing heavier, his compass spinning wildly. His skin felt prickly from the magnetic field, his fillings buzzing. This place was hostile. He needed to find some kind of anomaly, a disruption in the field, maybe underground caves. Or, sentient life that wasn't immediately trying to kill him. A flicker of movement caught his eye near a ridge. Not a rock formation, tall, moving with an unnerving grace against the turbulent air. His hand went to the empty holster at his hip. Right, gun was probably slag. The figure descended the ridge, moving fast. It was humanoid but not. Long, impossibly slender limbs, covered in segmented dark armor that seemed to shift and flow like liquid shadow. Its head was held high, sleek and featureless, except for a pair of large, multifaceted eyes that glowed with an intense, internal blue light. A Cathar, he realized with a sickening lurch. He'd heard the stories. Ritualistic, territorial, violently dominant, and usually found in regions everyone else avoided like vacuum blight. She stopped, maybe 20 paces away, silent, observing him with those glowing eyes. He couldn't read her expression, if she had one beneath the sleek head casing. A low, resonant hum vibrated from her throat region, a sound that seemed to bypass his ears and resonate directly in his bones. Threat. Definitely threat. He held up his empty hands. Okay, look. No weapons. Ship's busted. Just passing through. Well, tried to pass through. Clearly didn't do a great job. He managed a weak, lopsided smile. You, got a rescue service around here? Or maybe a spare ride off this rock? The humming intensified, dropping in pitch, vibrating the air like a plucked string. She took a slow, deliberate step forward. The segmented armor shimmered, flexing like muscle. This wasn't just armor. It was part of her. Living metal? Biotech? Whatever it was, it screamed danger. Her eyes narrowed, the blue light focusing on him. He felt scanned, judged, and found wanting, probably. Intruder, she stated, the sound coming not just from her throat nodes, but also a secondary speaker-like aperture near where a mouth would be. Her voice was layered, resonant, with an odd, almost musical cadence despite the flat, commanding tone. You trespass on claimed ground. Yeah, figured that much, he said, trying to keep his voice light, despite the adrenaline flooding his system. Look, genuine accident. Navicomputer went haywire in your magnetic field. Not here to cause trouble. She took another step, closing the distance. The humming was a palpable force now. All outsiders cause trouble. Your presence is disruption. My claim is disrupted. She reached out a long, dark hand, fingers ending in wicked, curved talons, and grabbed his neck. Not squeezing hard enough to crush, but hard enough to convey absolute authority. His breath hitched. Those glowing eyes were inches from his. "You are weak," she stated, her voice a low hum, accompanied by the spoken word. "Your form is soft, your scent, dially." He swallowed, feeling the pressure on his throat. "Yeah, well, sorry to disappoint. Didn't exactly pack the right pheromones for your, local dating scene." He coughed lightly. "Could we maybe, negotiate this? I have goods, trade items." He remembered the coffee. "Stupid, but maybe confusing enough to work. I have ritual stimulant. From my world. Might be interesting." Her head tilted slightly. The humming shifted. A note of curiosity? Or just anticipating violence? Her grip tightened slightly, not painfully, but possessively. "Ritual stimulant," she repeated, the phrase echoing with the humming resonance. "Show me." Okay. This was either the dumbest or smartest thing he'd ever done. Probably the dumbest. With his free hand fumbling slightly due to the pressure on his neck, he pulled out the pouch of coffee granules and the little plastic press. Yeah, this it. You mix it with hot water. Drink it. Wakes you up. Makes you feel things." He held it out. "It's called coffee." She released his neck, inspecting the pouch with intense interest. Her talon tapped the plastic. The humming was now a soft, inquisitive trill. She took the pouch, turning it over. "Coffee," she echoed, the word tasting strange on her sonic emitters. "A weakling stimulant? Yet, you value it enough to offer," claimed Ground. This wasn't going as planned. Or maybe it was. He needed leverage, or at least a distraction. "It's complicated. Rituals are personal. This one involves transformation of water and patience." He was winging it wildly. "Requires heat. Do you have heat?" Her multifaceted eyes fixed on him again. The trill stopped. The deep hum returned. Softer this time, but still heavy with authority. "All claimed ground has heat sources. You will come. Show me this coffee ritual. Then, we will discuss your trespass." She turned, moving back towards the ridge with swift, fluid steps. The living armor shifted, adapting to the terrain. "Do not lag, weakling. My patience for disruption is thin." He wasn't exactly thrilled about following a dominant alien warrior who had just called him a weakling and potentially wanted to dissect him. But staying put meant dying in the desert. And she seemed genuinely intrigued by the coffee. Small victories. He gathered his pack, rubbing his neck, and hurried after her, the metallic sand crunching under his boots. He was captured by an alien girl who was apparently fascinated by caffeine. His life was a cosmic joke, a really dark, potentially fatal one. The path wound through the humming rock formations, the air growing thicker with metallic particles that felt almost alive. They climbed towards the ridge she had descended, the segmented armor of the Kethar woman in front of him shifting and flexing with her movements. She moved with a silent, predatory grace, barely disturbing the loose sand. Elias, in contrast, stumbled, his damaged leg protesting, his breath coming in ragged gasps in the hot, dry air. He kept expecting a talon in his back, a sudden shift from curiosity to kill. It didn't come, yet. She stopped once, turning to face him. The glowing blue eyes studied his labored breathing, his sweat-streaked face. The humming from her throat nodes was low, almost a purr, but he couldn't interpret it. Was it amusement, contempt, or just physiological noise? "You are slow," she stated. "Your form is inefficient for this terrain." "Yeah, well, my form wasn't designed for crashing spaceships and hiking magnetic dunes, all right?" he retorted, leaning against a humming rock for support. The rock pulsed faintly beneath his palm. "Maybe if your planet wasn't trying to scramble my brains through my feet, I'd keep up better." She didn't respond verbally, but the humming deepened, resonating in his chest. She simply turned and continued climbing. "Right? No empathy, just efficiency." He pushed off the rock and followed, his muscles burning. The ridge opened into a narrow canyon, shielded from the worst of the wind. The humming of the rocks here was a constant, low thrum, punctuated by sharp percussive clicks from the walls. They entered a small cave entrance, the air inside slightly cooler but still thick with the metallic scent. The cave wasn't empty. Several other Cathar were present, their forms mostly obscured by shadows, their eyes glowing like scattered blue embers in the dim light. They were larger, broader than the woman, and their humming was deeper, more aggressive. Elders, he guessed. Problem. They turned their glowing gazes on him, and the collective humming in the cave intensified, a low, guttural vibration that set his teeth on edge. This was the sanctuary, the heart of the claim. The woman stopped before the largest of the figures, a hulking Cathar, whose segmented armor looked ancient, scarred. The humming emanating from him was deafening, a roar of pure disapproval. Vara, the elder's voice rumbled, a harsher, less resonant version of hers. You bring an outsider, a weakling, to the place of resonance? Vara stood tall, unwavering. He is an intruder, Elder Cathar. He fell from the sky. He disrupted the claim. He possesses the strange knowledge. He offers a ritual. She gestured towards Elias with one long hand, not unkindly but like pointing at a specimen. He offers coffee, a stimulant. From his home world, the elder's glowing eyes narrowed, focusing on Elias. The humming lowered slightly, replaced by sharp clicks. Ritual? From a soft form? Such things are our domain. What ritual can a weakling possess that is not mockery? Elias decided to lean into the absurdity. It was all he had. He stepped forward slightly, trying to project confidence despite the tremor in his leg and the hostile stares. It's a difficult ritual, Elder. Requires specific conditions, and the results. Unexpected. It can alter perception, grant focus, or make you jittery as hell if you overdo it. He held up the coffee pouch again. It's powerful, in its own way. Vera watched him, the blue glow in her eyes intense. The low trill of curiosity returned to her humming. The elders exchanged deep, resonant hums and clicks among themselves. A short, sharp burst of clicks from Elder Cass seemed to be a decision. Very well, Vera, the elder rumbled. This weakling will perform his coffee ritual, here, in the place of resonance. If it is truly a ritual of power, perhaps it has application. If it is false, his disruption ends. The last word was accompanied by a series of clicks that left no doubt about the implied meaning. Vara nodded once, a sharp, decisive movement. It shall be done. She turned back to Elias. You heard the elder. The place of resonance provides heat sources. Perform your ritual. Now, do not waste the elder's patience. Her voice was commanding, but beneath it, Elias thought he detected a flicker of anticipation, or maybe just the hums messing with his head. He needed hot water. He scanned the cave. There were strange crystalline growths, emanating faint heat, and natural vents, releasing warm, mineral-scented air. He pointed to one of the vents. Can that heat water? Vara followed his gaze. It is a source of deep resonance. It creates the warmth necessary for the crystals to sing. It can heat water. Great! He found a small heat-resistant metal cup in his pack, salvaged from the drifter's galley. He held it out to Vara. Okay, I need water. Clean water, if you have it. Not magnetic dust water. She took the cup, turning it over in her hand. Her talons tapped the metal. The humming was back to low curiosity. Clean water is precious. We draw it from the deep wells. But, for a ritual under the elder's gaze, I will permit it. She gestured to another, younger Cathar, who moved with swift, silent efficiency towards a dark alcove. Elias watched her, feeling a strange mix of terror and bewildered amusement. He was about to brew coffee for a bunch of terrifying aliens in a cave that hummed like a choir of angry tuning forks. If this wasn't the peak of his scavenging career, he didn't know what was. The young Cathar returned with a bladder filled with clear liquid. Vara took it and poured a precise amount into the metal cup. She handed the cup and the bladder to Elias. The heat source, Vara directed, gesturing to the vent. Make the water hot. Then perform the next step of your ritual. The elders watched, silent and still, their blue eyes like sensors in the dimness. The air was thick with anticipation. And humming. So much humming. Elias took the cup, knelt by the vent, and tried not to spill the precious water. As he held it close to the heat source, the faint smell of minerals mingling with the distant scent of ozone from the magnetic field outside. This was insane. He held the cup over the vent, feeling the warmth transfer to the metal, then the water. The Kristar watched him, their glowing eyes unwavering. The elder's humming was a low, expectant thrum. Vara stood closer, observing his every move, her own humming a soft, inquisitive trill. He could feel the pressure. This wasn't just about coffee anymore. It was a performance, a test. A small, absurd ritual thrust into the heart of a powerful alien one. The water began to steam. He felt a ridiculous sense of accomplishment. Okay, he muttered, mostly to himself. Phase 1 complete. Heating the sacred waters, he took the cup from the vent, the metal hot in his hand. Next, the coffee granules. He carefully opened the pouch. The rich, dark scent of roasted beans, even instant, filled the air. It smelled utterly foreign in this metallic cave. Vara's multifaceted eyes seemed to widen slightly. Her humming picked up speed. A rapid, high-pitched trill that Elias now suspected indicated heightened interest or perhaps agitation. The elder's hums shifted too, becoming less guttural, more focused. They were smelling it. What is that scent? Elder Kuthar rumbled, his voice a deep vibration. It is dit, sharp, pungent, not of the sands. That's the coffee, Elias explained, carefully pouring a measured amount of the dark granules into the hot water. The granules dissolved instantly, turning the water a murky brown. He stirred it with a finger, the heat radiating outwards. This is the essence of the ritual. Vara leaned closer, her head tilting. Essence, she repeated, the word resonant. The scent is compelling. It disrupts the natural vibrations. Disrupts vibrations? That was new. Maybe his coffee was messing with their humming communication or their sensitivity to the magnetic field. Great, another way to accidentally piss off the locals. He inserted the small press plunger into the cup. Okay, now you let it steep for a minute. Let's the essence meld. He held the cup up, showing them the dark liquid. The elders leaned forward, their glowing eyes fixed on the cup. The cave was silent, except for the faint hum of the rocks and Vara's soft, rapid trill. The air felt thick with anticipation. He waited the minute, then slowly pressed the plunger down, separating the grounds from the liquid. A strong, bitter aroma bloomed in the air. It is ready, he announced, holding up the finished cup. The coffee ritual is complete. Vara reached out a hand, her fingers long and dark. I will take it, she said, her voice steady. As the one who claimed you, I will partake first. Elias hesitated. This could be a test of poison, but refusing would be an even bigger death sentence. He handed her the cup. Careful, he warned. It's hot, and it might taste different. She took the cup, holding it in both hands. She brought it to the aperture near her mouth, bypassing the need for lips or teeth. A soft whirring sound came from her head casing. She seemed to inhale the steam, then took a slow, deliberate sip. Her entire body stiffened. The humming from her throat nodes cut off abruptly. Her multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly. She stood perfectly still for a long moment. The only sound, her faint, mechanical whirring. The elders remained motionless, waiting. Elias held his breath. Had he just poisoned her? Then, a new sound. A deep, resonant thrum started low in Vera's chest, quickly escalating into a powerful, vibrating hum that filled the cave, overpowering the rock's resonance. Her eyes glowed brighter, pulsing with the rhythm of the hum. She took another sip, a larger one this time. What is this? She whispered, the question vibrating through the air. Her voice was different now, charged with an intensity that hadn't been there before. Tolkien's centers are agitated. My senses heightened. She looked at the cup, then back at Elias, her eyes blazing blue. Is this poison? Why do I love it? She took another long drink, emptying the cup. The humming intensified further, radiating from her in waves. The elders were reacting now, their own hums shifting, their eyes fixed on Vara with what looked like astonishment. Vara lowered the empty cup, her chest heaving slightly with the force of her internal resonance. She looked changed, electrified. She extended the cup back to Elias. More, she commanded, her voice layered with the powerful hum. Perform the ritual again. Her eyes held a fierce, possessive heat. The coffee hadn't just stimulated her. It had triggered something primal, something resonant with her Cathar biology in an unexpected way. He had just offered caffeine to a creature whose body was a living resonator. This was going to be interesting. And probably still fatal. Vara's reaction sent ripples through the silent, watching elders. Their humming had become a low, collective murmur, a sound of surprise and disquiet. Elder Cathar leaned forward, his ancient armor creaking faintly. Vara. The foreign stimulant. What does it do? Vara held the empty cup, her chest still vibrating with the deep, powerful hum. Her glowing eyes, usually a steady blue, now pulsed with an internal light. It aligns the nodes. Elder, she said, her voice layered with the resonant hum. It sharpens the inner sight. It then clarifies the claim. She looked at Elias, her eyes burning with a sudden, fierce possessiveness that went beyond mere interest. His ritual, then he is potent. Elias felt a chill despite the cave's warmth. Clarifies the claim. What did that mean? He was just trying to make coffee. He took the cup back, his hand trembling slightly. He needed more water from the bladder. He needed to stall. Yeah, it's
Well, potent, he agreed.
trying to sound knowledgeable rather than terrified. It's tricky stuff. Gotta be used wisely. Like, for focus. Or long journeys. Not usually. This kind of effect. He glanced nervously at the pulsating blue in her eyes. Elder Kathar's humming grew louder, sharper. A ritual that aligns the nodes? From a weakling outsider? He looked at Vara with suspicion. Are you certain, Vara? Or has this coffee merely agitated your core resonance? Vara straightened, her form radiating a powerful energy. The humming from her nodes intensified, a clear note of defiance entering the resonance. I am certain, Elder. My nodes have never pulsed with such clarity. My connection to the claim, it feels absolute. She extended a hand towards Elias again. Not for the cup this time, but a gesture of claiming. He has performed his ritual. He has shown power, albeit strange. His presence is now bound to my resonance. This wasn't just about coffee anymore. Elias's internal alarm bell screamed. Bound? Resonant? He was a scavenger, not a ritual sacrifice or some kind of alien battery pack. Hold on. Bound? He protested, trying to back away. The other Kothar shifted in the shadows, blocking his retreat. All I did was make a cup of joe. There's no binding ritual in coffee. It's just mud bean water. Vara didn't seem to hear him. Her eyes were locked on his, the pulsating blue demanding his attention. He offers the potent ritual, she stated to the elders, her voice echoing with conviction. His resonance is weak, but the coffee amplifies his potential. He is a disruption. Yes, but one that can be integrated. He falls under my claim. By the laws of the first resonators, his ritual makes him subject to my will. Subject to her will? This was getting worse fast. He had a bad feeling about where this was heading. He was trapped. And apparently, his ability to brew instant coffee had just sealed his fate. The elders began a low, rhythmic humming, a chant that resonated with the cave walls. It felt ancient, binding. Elder Kothar spoke again, his voice grave. If his ritual amplifies resonance, Vara, then he is not merely a disruption. He is a tool that fell into your claim. By the laws of claiming, you may test his worth. But the first resonators demanded a physical trial for any integration, especially of an outsider. Vara's head tilted back slightly. Her humming deepened, a sound Elias now recognized as intense focus, maybe anticipation. A trial, she echoed, the word a statement of fact. Yes, to test his resilience, His potential for integration. The trial of resonance. She looked at Elias, her eyes shining with an unnerving light. You will undergo the trial, weakling. Your coffee has proven you are worthy of the test. Fail. Then you are purged. Succeed. Your existence is bound to mine forever. Forever? Purged? All this because of coffee? Elias ran a hand through his gritty hair. Look, I'm just a guy. I fix ships. I find salvage. I don't do trials or forever binding. Can't we just trade the rest of the coffee for a ride out of here? Vara didn't dignify that with a response. She stepped towards him, her movements fluid and powerful. The elders' chanting, humming intensified. She reached for him, her taloned fingers closing around his wrist. Her touch was cold, but the humming radiating from her felt like a contained storm. You will prepare more coffee for the journey, she commanded, her voice soft yet absolute. Then the trial begins. Your ritual has earned you this chance. Do not waste it. She pulled him forward past the elders, towards a darker passage, leading deeper into the cave system. He stumbled after her, the empty coffee cup still in his other hand. This was officially the worst salvage run of his life. The passage led deeper into the rock, the air growing warmer, the magnetic hum more intense. Vara pulled him along, her grip on his wrist firm. He couldn't break free. She was strong, unnervingly so. The cave walls pulsed with faint light from the humming crystals, casting long, shifting shadows. The elders' chanting humming faded behind them, replaced by the deeper, more primal resonance of the earth itself. Okay, define trial of resonance, Elias said, trying to catch his breath. Is it like a test, an obstacle course? Or are we just walking until one of us collapses? Vara didn't look back. The trial is designed by the first resonators, she stated, her voice flat. It tests alignment, endurance, and adaptability. It ensures the claim is strong enough to withstand disruption. Since you are the disruption, it will test your capacity to integrate, to resonate with the claim, not against it. Integrate? My resonance? He scoffed. Lady, the most resonant thing about me is probably my fillings buzzing in your crazy magnetic field. She stopped abruptly, turning to face him. Her eyes flared, pulsing with blue light. The humming from her nodes intensified, sharp with what he now recognized as irritation. Do not mock the sacred tests, weakling. Your coffee ritual has shown you possess resonance, even if it is unstructured. The trial will force structure, or shatter you. Shatter him. Great. Look, I'm not trying to mock anything. I just, don't understand. Your people are built for this. My people, we build ships to avoid places like this. We adapt with tech, not internal vibrations. Adaptability is a form of resonance, she countered, stepping closer. Her head tilted again, observing him. Her humming softened slightly, becoming that curious trill. Your form is soft, yet you survived the crash. You possess artifacts with strange properties. She tapped the empty coffee cup. You create rituals that affect even my nodes. Her voice dropped lower, losing some of its command. You are an anomaly. The trial will determine if you are a beneficial anomaly or a destructive one. She started walking again, but this time, she released his wrist, gesturing for him to follow. The first stage tests endurance. The resonance currents in these tunnels are unstable. Stay close. Do not deviate. He followed, wary. The air grew warmer, almost stifling. The humming intensified, seeming to come from everywhere at once. A dizzying chorus that made his head ache and his teeth ache. He felt disoriented, the sense of direction warping. He had to keep his eyes on Vara, her dark, shifting form the only constant in the pulsing, resonant tunnels. They moved deeper, navigating narrow passages and open caverns filled with vibrating crystal formations. The humming changed pitch and intensity, sometimes a low thrumming that vibrated through his bones, other times a high-pitched whine that grated on his nerves. He could feel the magnetic field interacting with his body, a strange pressure behind his eyes, a faint taste of metal on his tongue. Vera seemed unaffected, moving through the resonance currents with practiced ease. She would occasionally stop, her eyes scanning the pulsing crystal formations, her humming a low, focused sound. Once a section of the wall pulsed violently, and a shower of smaller crystals detached and fell. Vara grabbed his arm and pulled him aside just in time. "The currents shift without warning," she said, her voice tight. "They are testing your perception, your ability to align with the flow." "Or just flatten me," Elias muttered, rubbing his now bruised arm. "Great test." Hours passed. The heat became oppressive. His legs burned. His head pounded with the constant vibrating hum. He was thirsty, exhausted. Vara, despite the demanding pace, showed no signs of fatigue. Her movements remained fluid, her humming steady. He was definitely the weakling here. They reached a wide cavern where the humming was deafening, a powerful, pulsating roar that seemed to shake the very rock. In the center of the cavern was a pool of viscous, glowing liquid. The air above it shimmered. "This is the heart of resonance," Vera stated, her voice slightly strained against the overwhelming hum. "The currents meet here. It is a place of intense energy. The second stage of the trial is here. It tests your core resonance." She turned to face him, her eyes blazing. The humming from her nodes matched the roar of the cavern, a symphony of raw power. "You must whine," she said, her voice deeper than usual. "You must withstand the full force of the resonance. Show that your form can integrate the energy, not repel it." "How the hell do I do that?" he yelled over the noise. "I don't have core resonance." "I have a heart and lungs." Vera stepped closer, her hand reaching for his chest. Her taloned fingers didn't pierce his skin, but he felt the intense cold of her touch through his tattered jacket. Then the cold gave way to a pulsing heat. Her humming intensified, and he felt a strange vibrating connection establish itself between her hand and his chest. "My resonance will guide you," she said, her voice suddenly soft, intimate, despite the roaring hum of the cavern. "Do not fight it. Let it come, flow." Her eyes were fixed on his, the pulsating blue, mesmerizing. He felt a wave of energy wash over him, not just from the cavern, but from her touch. It was overwhelming, disorienting. He stumbled back, pulling away from her touch. "Whoa! What the hell was that?" Vera looked at him, her humming a confused trill mixed with the powerful thrum. "It is connection. The transfer of resonance. I attempt to align your core." "Align?" That felt like you were trying to jumpstart my heart with a car battery." The confusion left her eyes, replaced by that fierce, possessive intensity he'd seen after she drank the coffee. "It is necessary," she stated. "To survive the heart of resonance, you must accept the flow, or the currents will tear you apart." She took a step towards him, her hand outstretched again. "Come. Let my resonance guide yours. Let the trial proceed." The roaring hum of the cavern seemed to demand it, pressing in on him, making him feel small and vulnerable. He was trapped between the overwhelming power of the place and the alien woman who wanted to force him into some kind of energetic alignment. He had a feeling resisting her would be more dangerous than submitting to her strange touch. The roaring hum of the heart of resonance pressed in on Elias, threatening to swallow him whole. Vara stood before him, her outstretched hand pulsing with blue light, her own resonance a powerful guiding current against the chaotic roar of the cavern. Her eyes, glowing like twin suns, held his gaze, demanding his surrender. "Let my resonance guide yours," she repeated, her voice cutting through the noise, resonant and absolute. "Trust the flow. Trust the flow." Trust the alien woman who'd abducted him, called him weak, and dragged him into a death trap because he made coffee? His instincts screamed no. But every cell in his body vibrated with the energy of the cavern, feeling like it was about to tear itself apart. And Vara's presence, though terrifying, also felt like the only stable point in the chaos. He took a shaky breath and reached out, placing his hand back on her outstretched one. The moment their skin touched, a jolt of energy shot up his arm, straight to his chest. It wasn't violent this time, but intense. It felt like a key turning in a lock he didn't know he had. Vara's humming deepened, becoming a steady, powerful pulse. Her grip on his hand tightened. "Close your eyes," she commanded softly. "Listen to the deep hum, not the roar. The deep hum beneath it." He hesitated for a second, then closed his eyes. The roaring noise of the cavern didn't diminish, but he focused inwards, trying to find the vibration Vera was talking about. He felt her resonance, a strong, steady frequency pulsing through their joined hands, anchoring him. Beneath the roar, he began to distinguish it, a low, fundamental thrumming, the true heartbeat of the cave. "That's it," Vara whispered, her voice close. "Align your core to that frequency. Let it resonate." He focused, pushing against the chaotic energy, trying to match the rhythm of the deep hum, guided by Vara's resonant touch. It was difficult, like trying to push against a wall of water. Sweat beaded on his forehead. His muscles tensed. Vara moved closer, pressing her body against his side. Her segmented armor felt cool against his sweat-soaked clothes. The humming from her body enveloped him, a cocoon of steady energy in the maelstrom. Her free hand went to his back, pressing firm. "Breathe with the hum," she instructed. "Feel the energy flow down between us. Let my resonance bridge the gap." The shared contact, her body pressed against his. The dual focus on the deep hum, it shifted something. The overwhelming pressure eased slightly. He felt the energy of the cavern not as a battering force, but as a swirling current he could navigate. His own internal vibrations, chaotic before, began to align, to pulse with the steady rhythm of the deep hum, mirrored by Vara's own powerful resonance flowing into him. It wasn't painless. It felt like static electricity building up inside him, then discharging in controlled bursts. His vision swam. He felt lightheaded, detached from his body, but the sense of being torn apart receded. He was still standing, resonating. "Good," Vara murmured, her voice a low, resonant purr. "You warning. Accept the flow. Your core is strong for a weakling." The compliment, backhanded as it was, felt strangely validating in the face of the overwhelming force he was withstanding. The intense phase of the trial seemed to pass. The roaring hum subsided slightly, becoming a powerful, pulsing thrum again, the normal state of the heart of resonance. He opened his eyes. Vara was looking up at him, her eyes still glowing, but the frantic pulsing had lessened. Her humming was deep, satisfied. "You survived the heart," she stated, releasing his hand, though she didn't move away from his side. "The second stage is complete." He leaned against the pulsing rock wall, his legs shaky. "Survived." "Yeah," he gasped. "What's stage 3? Does it involve not feeling like my molecules are rearranging themselves?" Vara's eyes held a new light, less commanding, more assessing. "The third stage is the test of claim. It is not against the environment. It is personal." She looked down at their bodies, still pressed together. Her humming shifted again, a strange, lower frequency, more intimate. "Personal?" Elias felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Given the Kethar culture and her earlier pronouncements, personal test of claim sounded ominously like something involving forced intimacy. Vara stepped back fully now, but her gaze remained intense, focused on him. "The trial of resonance determines compatibility," she explained, her voice steady, but with an undercurrent of something new. "Can the outsider integrate? Can their resonance align with the claims? Your core resonates with the heart, but can your being resonate with the one who holds the claim?" She took a slow step towards him, closing the distance he'd just created. The air between them crackled, not just with the cave's energy, but a different tension. Her humming grew deeper, almost a vibration against his skin. Her eyes tracked his every movement, every flicker of his expression. "The test of claim," she stated, reaching out a hand, this time to touch his face. Her taloned fingers surprisingly gentle against his jaw. Her touch sent shivers down his spine. "It requires, in absolute, vulnerability and complete alignment." Her voice dropped lower, softer. "It is the final stage, and it takes place to here. Now, Her thumb traced his cheekbone, sending a wave of heat through him. He saw the raw power in her, the ancient ritualistic drive, but also something else, an intense, focused curiosity, amplified by the coffee and the shared resonance. He was exhausted, scared, and strangely, intensely aware of her body so close to his. He was a survivor, a scavenger. He knew the look of a predator about to strike, but this felt different, more complex, like the prey was also part of the hunt, and the goal wasn't just consumption, but fusion. She leaned in closer, her humming a deep, resonant rumble against his ear. "Can your soft form withstand the final resonance, weakling?" she whispered, her glowing eyes searching his. "Can your being submit to the claim?" It wasn't just a question. It was a challenge, a prelude, and he knew, with a gut-deep certainty, that the test of claim wasn't going to involve fighting or navigating tunnels. It was going to be intensely, devastatingly personal. Her hand cupped his cheek, her taloned fingers cool against his skin. The humming from her nodes was a deep, powerful thrum, resonating through him. Her glowing eyes held his, demanding his full attention, his full presence. This was it, the final stage, the test of claim. "Submit," she whispered, her voice low and resonant, layered with the powerful vibration emanating from her. It wasn't a request. It was an imperative, delivered with the weight of her culture, her dominance, and the strange, new energy that pulsed between them. Elias felt the last vestiges of his resistance crumble. He was exhausted, vibrating with borrowed resonance, and intensely aware of the alien woman who held his face, radiating power and something that felt dangerously close to desire. He was out of options, out of strength, and against all logic, his body was reacting to her proximity, to the sheer intensity of her presence. Submit? What did that even mean in this context? He didn't answer verbally. He couldn't. His throat felt tight. He simply held her gaze, letting his own fear and confusion show, maybe a sliver of reluctant fascination too. Burr's eyes scanned his face, reading something in his silence. His vulnerability, her humming deepened further, dropping to a frequency that vibrated directly in his groin. Her head tilted back slightly, exposing the pulsing nodes in her throat. "Resonate with me," she commanded, her voice rougher now, edged with a primal intensity. "Let your core respond." She leaned forward, her face close to his. He felt a rush of hot air from her respiratory vents. Then her mouth aperture opened slightly, revealing not teeth, but a complex array of shimmering internal structures. She pressed her head against his, the smooth casing cool against his temple, and the vibrating nodes in her throat pressed directly against the side of his neck. The moment her nodes touched his skin, a jolt of pure energy, different from the cave's resonance, shot through him. It was like the coffee's stimulating effect, but amplified 1,000 times, localized and intensely physical. His body tensed involuntarily, a sharp, visceral reaction. He gasped. Vera held him fast, pressing her vibrating throat nodes harder against his neck. Her low hum became a guttural growl, resonating deep in her chest. She began rubbing the pulsing nodes against his skin, a strange, abrasive friction that felt shockingly intimate. "This is the joining," she whispered, her voice tight with exertion or pleasure. "The aligning of cores, the test of claim." He understood now. Submission wasn't passive. It was active participation in this bizarre, powerful resonance exchange. It was letting his body respond, letting her resonance flow into him, letting their cores align, and his body was responding, against his conscious will. The physical shock had given way to a wave of heat, a tingling sensation spreading from his neck downwards. His heart hammered against his ribs, not from fear, but from something else entirely. He closed his eyes again, focusing on the intense sensation where her nodes met his skin, on the deep, vibrating hum that filled his head, and on the strange energy swirling within him, stoked by the coffee and amplified by her touch. He stopped fighting the flow, let the energy course through him, let his body move instinctively. Vera's grip tightened on his jaw. She pressed her body flush against his, molding herself to him with surprising strength. Her dark, segmented armor felt smooth and cool, her underlying form hard and powerful. The friction of her throat nodes against his neck increased, becoming a rhythmic and tense rub. Her humming escalated, reaching a higher pitch, punctuated by sharp, mechanical clicks. His hands, without conscious thought, came up to grip her sides. He could feel the underlying muscle flexing beneath the shifting armor, the shared resonance, the intense physical contact, the bizarre, localized friction. It was overwhelming, intoxicating. He felt a building pressure inside him, an echo of the energy pulsing from her. Vara arched her back, pressing her nodes harder against his neck, her humming becoming a ragged, desperate sound. Her body vibrated with raw power. The energy coursing between them intensified, sparking along his skin, tightening his muscles, pooling low in his gut. "Resonate with me," she gasped, her voice a raw command. "Show your core." "You accepts the claim." He did. He couldn't help it. With a choked sound, his body convulsed, a wave of intense energy radiating outwards from his core, mirroring the pulsing in Vara's throat nodes. His vision flashed white. He felt an echoing vibration deep within him, responding to hers, aligning with the deep hum of the cave and the powerful resonance of the alien woman holding him. As the wave subsided, leaving him breathless and trembling, Vara gave a sharp, mechanical cry. Her head snapped back, her nodes pulsing violently. Her taloned fingers dug into his jaw, not breaking the skin, but leaving behind a burning sensation. Then, with a final, intense thrum, her nodes quieted, shrinking slightly. She stayed pressed against him for a long moment, breathing heavily, her body radiating heat. The humming from her was softer now, a deep, satisfied resonance. She slowly lifted her head, her eyes locking with his. They were still glowing intensely blue, but the demanding fire had been replaced by a strange, possessive calm. "The test is complete," she stated, her voice softer, calmer than he'd ever heard it, but with an undeniable undercurrent of absolute certainty. "Your core accepts the resonance. You are low-lined." She trailed a taloned finger down his neck, tracing the spot where her nodes had pulsed against his skin. "You are claimed." He felt the spot on his neck burn, then itch. He reached up and touched it. It felt smooth, but strangely sensitized. He had a terrible feeling she hadn't just aligned him. She had marked him, claimed him, physically and energetically. This wasn't just sex. This was something else. Something binding and terrifyingly final. Vera stepped back, though she still kept a hand on his arm. The predatory intensity was gone, replaced by something new, a deep, almost territorial possessiveness. Her humming was a low, contented rumble now. She looked at him, not as an intruder or a weakling, but as hers. "The trial is concluded," she stated, her voice layered with that soft, purring hum. "Your performance was unexpected." The resonance exchange, potent. She touched his arm again, her fingers trailing fire along his skin. "Your coffee ritual unlocked your capacity to resonate. My claim provided the alignment." Claimed. The word felt heavy, binding. He looked down at the spot on his neck. He couldn't see a mark in the dim light, but he could feel it. A faint pulsing beneath the skin, echoing the deep hum of the cave and the resonance within him now. "Claimed," he repeated, the word tasting foreign and unwelcome. "What the hell does that even mean?" Vera tilted her head, her multifaceted eyes observing him with that unnerving intensity. "It means you are mine," she stated simply, as if explaining the most obvious fact in the universe. "You are part of my claim now. Your existence is bound to mine. You are no longer disruption. You are integrated, bound, hers." He felt a wave of panic, quickly followed by a surge of hot, frustrated anger. "Mine? Integrated? You can't just claim someone. I'm not a piece of salvage. I'm a human being." Vera's humming deepened slightly, a low growl of impatience. "Your species has different rituals," she acknowledged, her voice tight. But the laws of claim are ancient, unbreakable. Your core accepted my resonance. You're being submitted to the test. You are claimed. To deny it is to deny reality. She paused, looking at him with a strange, assessing gaze. And you have the mark now? The resonance seal. The mark. He rubbed his neck again. He needed to see it. Where? What mark? She reached out again, her talon running lightly over the spot on his neck. A faint blue glow appeared there for a second, mirroring the pulsing in her own eyes. It faded quickly, but he had seen it. A faint, intricate symbol traced in light on his skin. It is the resonance seal, she explained. Proof of alignment. Only those who survive the trial of claim carry it, and only the one who holds the claim. He can activate it, can feel its presence. He stared at her, reeling. He had been abducted, forced into a bizarre trial, had mind-bending sex that felt more like a forced energetic fusion, and now he was marked, bound to an alien woman he barely knew, who treated him like property. And it had all started because of coffee. So what happens now? He asked, his voice flat, drained of its usual sarcasm. Am I your pet? Your slave? What does a claimed weakling do? Vera's humming softened again, returning to that deep, purring resonance. She stepped closer, her hand now resting on his chest, directly over where he felt that new echoing pulse. You are not pet or slave, she stated, her voice low and intimate. Those terms are for the unclaimed, the subservient. You are
Wait.
part of my strength, my resonance. Your presence amplifies my claim. Your future, Tess, is with mine. She looked at him, her glowing eyes intense, searching. My claim has been challenged by the elders, she admitted, a flicker of vulnerability showing in her eyes for the first time. They see me as too independent, too willing to defy tradition. Your arrival, your coffee ritual, your survival of the trial, it is a disruption they cannot easily dismiss. You are proof of something new, something powerful. His head spun. So he wasn't just her problem. He was a political problem for her within her own culture. His claiming wasn't just personal. It had implications. You mean, I'm your argument? He asked, a bitter laugh escaping him. You're using me to shut up the old guys? Vara didn't deny it. You survived where others would shatter, she said. You carry the mark, you resonate with the heart. Your existence validates my strength, my capacity to integrate the unconventional. The elders may disapprove, but they cannot deny the trial's outcome, not without challenging the laws of the first resonators themselves. This was insane. He had become a political pawn in an alien power struggle, bound to a woman who had literally claimed him with her vibrating throat. He looked at Vara, at her intense gaze, the powerful humming radiating from her, the faint glow of the mark on his own skin. He was trapped, but maybe this wasn't just a death sentence. Maybe it was a chance, a dangerous, terrifying, utterly insane chance. All right, fine, he sighed, running a hand over his face. I'm claimed. I'm your argument. What's the plan then, Commander Claim? How do we leverage this weird coffee-fueled resonance bond against your grumpy old elders? A flicker of surprise crossed Vara's face, quickly replaced by a look of fierce determination. Her humming deepened with satisfaction. She stepped closer, her hand resting on his chest, her touch sending a familiar wave of energy through him. We face them, she stated, her voice absolute. Together. You have passed the trial. You are marked. You are mine. The laws are the laws. The elders must accept it, or face the consequences of challenging the claim. She looked at him, her eyes holding a new, unsettling intensity. My consequence. Bunny is you. He wasn't just claimed. He was her weapon, her defiance, the living embodiment of her challenge to tradition. He was bound to her now physically, energetically, politically. He was Elias Vance, smart-ass scavenger, now claimed by an alien heiress, marked by her resonance, and about to face down her entire patriarchal culture. All thanks to a cup of instant coffee. He almost had to laugh. This was going to be a hell of a fight, And maybe, just maybe, he wouldn't be fighting alone anymore. His gaze met hers, and for the first time, he saw not just a captor, but a partner, a terrifying, dominant, alien partner. His partner. They emerged from the deep tunnels, the magnetic desert air feeling almost cool after the oppressive heat of the heart of resonance. Elias walked differently now. Not just tired, but with a subtle awareness of the new energy pulsing within him, the faintest echo of the cave's hum, and stronger the constant low resonance of the mark on his neck. Vara walked beside him, her stride purposeful, her humming a steady, confident thrum. She hadn't let him out of her sight since the trial. And truthfully, he hadn't wanted her to. They reached the cave entrance again, where the elders waited. Their glowing eyes tracked their approach, and the collective humming in the cave intensified. A low, questioning murmur. Elder Ka stepped forward, his massive form radiating authority. "Vara," he rumbled, his voice vibrating with unspoken challenge. As the outsider survived the trial, Vara stopped before him, standing tall. Elias stood just behind her, close enough that her shoulder brushed his arm. Her humming deepened, a clear note of defiance echoing through the canyon. "He has," she stated, her voice strong and clear. "He endured the currents. His core resonated with the heart, and he accepted the test of claim." She turned slightly, gesturing to Elias. "He carries the mark, Elder." Elder Cuthar's eyes narrowed, focusing on Elias. The humming from the elders sharpened, becoming agitated clicks. "The mark?" the elder scoffed. "A weakling cannot carry the mark of claim. It requires a core of true resonance." Vara's humming became a resonant roar, asserting her dominance. She reached out a hand, not touching Elias, but hovering her palm over the spot on his neck where the mark pulsed. A faint blue light appeared beneath his skin, visible even to the elders. It pulsed in sync with Vara's hand. With her humming, "The mark glows true, Elder," Vara stated, her voice layered with power. "It is the resonance seal of the first resonators. My claim is validated. His core resonates with mine." The elders fell silent, their humming dropping to a stunned murmur. They stared at the glowing mark on Elias's neck, then at Vara, who stood radiating confidence and power, her resonance interwoven with his. They couldn't deny the visible evidence of the mark, the sign of a completed trial. Elder Cuthar's voice, when he finally spoke, was weaker, tinged with reluctant acceptance. "The laws are absolute," he rumbled. "The mark does not lie. The outsider is claimed by Vara. His existence is bound to hers." He looked at Vara, a flicker of something Elias couldn't quite decipher. Respect? Resignation? In his eyes. "Your claim is strengthened, Vara, but this binding, it is unprecedented." An outsider. Integrated? Vara stepped forward, asserting her newfound authority. "The laws allow for integration, Elder," she stated. "The first resonators foresaw that strength could come from unexpected sources. His coffee ritual, his resilience, his capacity to resonate, he amplifies my claim. He is not disruption. He is during complement." Compliment. Not bad, Elias thought wryly. Better than weakling or tool. Elder Cuthar studied Elias for a long moment, his glowing eyes seeming to penetrate his very being. Elias met his gaze, no longer just scared but defiant. He was claimed. Bound. But he wasn't broken. "A compliment," the elder echoed slowly. "Very well. The claim is acknowledged. The binding will be observed. His fate is now intertwined with yours, Vara. You will present him to the full assembly. The laws will be explained." His new status declared. Vara nodded. A sharp, decisive movement. "It shall be done." She turned, her humming returning to a soft, contented thrum, and walked past the elders, deeper into the sanctuary towards what Elias assumed was her dwelling, or the main gathering place. Elias followed her, a strange mix of trepidation and grim satisfaction settling in his gut. He was still in deep shit, bound to an alien culture he didn't understand, tied to a woman whose methods were brutal and alien, facing an assembly of terrifying elders. But he had survived. He had resonated. And he wasn't alone. Vara stopped near a large, sheltered structure carved into the rock. She turned to face him, the glow in her eyes soft now, her humming a deep purr. She reached out a hand, not with the earlier demanding command, but a different gesture. It was an offer of connection, of acceptance. Come, she said, her voice layered with the soft hum. You are claimed. You are within my sanctuary now. We face the assembly together. Her talons brushed his hand, the touch strangely gentle. Your coffee ritual, it brought you here? My claim? Gotta holds you here. Your future is mine to protect, and mine is now bound to yours. He took her hand. Her grip was strong, her touch radiating warmth and that now familiar resonance. He was a long way from home. His ship was a wreck. His life was irrevocably changed. He was claimed by an alien warrior heiress in a magnetic desert, his body marked by her resonance. It was absurd. It was terrifying. And as he looked into Vara's glowing eyes, seeing the possessive intensity mixed with something that felt unsettlingly like fierce loyalty, he knew he wouldn't trade it. Not anymore. This was his life now, bound, claimed, and ready to face whatever came next, with the alien girl who loved his poisonous coffee by his side.